everybody. It is Thursday, I think. Thank you all for coming. The story today is called More Pump on the Way. Sounds exciting. Let's get into why I think that is the case. And there's a lot of really crazy stuff happening on the horizon. By the way, thank you, Andy. Thank you, Sean D. TNT Tesla, K8, Rudich, and everybody else for coming. Bitcoin's been on a crazy pump. And it's funny because I made a video, actually I'm going to zoom out for this, back in March. And it was that infamous video that's been watched over 100,000 times of the correlation between global liquidity and Bitcoin and the 108 days and the pump and May 1st and everything else. And here we are. It's happening. But there's a lot more happening behind the scenes. And literally, I spent the last 24 hours trying to find negative indicators for Bitcoin. Scoured the earth. I could not find any. And that's the big part of the story today. So let's get into it and go through some data and everything else. Thank you all for coming. We'll be talking about a lot of stuff today too, not just money, but stackers and non-financial advice and monster ETF flows, IBIT, MicroStrategy, new players, global M2, Bitcoin pump on Q, Fidelity, NVDA rumors, Saylor's call today, and so much more. It's a big day. And shout out to Patreon as well from Nostalgic Souls. Gang Squad, stand up. Let's get this money. Join Patreon and get in the Discord community. Thank you for being part of that. And thank you to the team behind me. Let's talk about the Bitcoin black hole, which we've been talking about for years now. I want to just pay some attention to the ETFs because they have been on fire lately before we jump into the big story. Look at all the action on the black on the right. We had the third biggest flows ever in the history of these ETFs. All happen in the month of April. And that may sound like not like a big deal, but hopefully this chart does show. And there's one player, BlackRock, had $1 billion day last week. $1 billion. They are stacking like there's no tomorrow. In fact, it's Saylor, MicroStrategy, and BlackRock. They're the ones doing all the buying, but there's more players coming. We'll talk about those in a second too, which makes it even more interesting. If we look at the Bitcoin ETFs, they now have 1.143 million Bitcoin, which is a lot. Hello, Thunderbear in Norway. Thank you. The Bitcoin ETFs now have $111.1 billion. So as you know, I love patterns and numbers, and I analyze 100 numbers a day, maybe 300. And I saw that 111.11, and I was like, wow, had to be part of a video. 111.1 billion in on-chain holdings. And of course, it fluctuates with price. But it's just amazing to capture that. And another thing that's even more statistically amazing is if you annualize the last 14 days of ETF absorption, and look, some of those days were negative or flat. It wasn't all good. But the last 14 days alone would suck in 6.7% of the projected Bitcoin supply. Let me try to put that in perspective. That would be about 1.4 million Bitcoin. And on top of that, you've got the US government who wants to buy another 800,000 Bitcoin. Saylor probably wants to buy another 500,000 Bitcoin. You got a company called CEP, which is 21, which is on fire too. Want to buy, at least catch up to Saylor and get 500,000 Bitcoin. Where is all this coming from? Okay, this is a crazy time to be alive. Crazy time. And there's a lot more goodness to show. Again, that's just the ETFs. Also, another point of view from Thomas Farrer, the April baggers, the bagger Vance, IBIT and MicroStrategy snagged 53,600 Bitcoin in April. That's nearly 55,000 Bitcoin in 4 weeks. Where's it all going to come from? I don't know. And don't forget, MicroStrategy earnings call today is at 5 EST, which is about an hour and 20 minutes from now. And sometimes people misconstrue these calls, but I do expect Michael Saylor to say, okay, we're going to raise another $42 billion to $100 billion in ATM and buy more Bitcoin, which will support the slide I just showed, slide number 7, I think it was. This puppy. Where is it all going to come from? It's a crazy time to be alive. And it's good to watch all these things happen and unfold before our very eyes. Now, again, back in March, I made this video, Global M2 Prediction. And I had some very interesting tables there. First of all, I said this is the exact slide with the 108-day offset. And shout out to Colin as well for a lot of the inspiration from him. But I said 80% chance of a May liftoff. Well, it was kind of wrong because we lifted off before that. It didn't quite take 108 days. There's a little bit of front running happening. Maybe part of what Saylor sees, and he said, I need to snag this. Part of what BlackRock sees, I need to get in there as quickly as possible. And all the other baggers that are out there trying to snag as much Bitcoin as they can. And I had this mathematical slide because I love numbers. A little nerdy time for the audience here. Oh, by the way, let me know if the sound is better. I jacked it up. I heard some complaints yesterday. It was a bit low. So let me know, because I know some people are very sensitive to sound and they need it to sound right. But here I said if 0.25% of the pump in global liquidity, which is 4.5 trillion year to date. Well, this is as of March, by the way, not even now. If 0.25% of that finds its way into Bitcoin, the price will go to 99,575 over the coming months. Well, we're at 97,000 already, so it happened pretty fast. I will monitor this table and then try back into, kind of like with my I multiplier, back into exactly what the multiplier is for global liquidity. So we'll have a better record of tracking that in the future. So for example, if another 5 trillion of global liquidity comes into the market by the end of the year, which is very possible, what does that mean for Bitcoin price? I'll be able to calculate it all for you. And it's fun. Also, if it goes from 0.25% to 0.5%, because I'm seeing things and hearing things that say stuff like the 40, 60, 60, 40 portfolio is dead. Everybody's now buying gold and Bitcoin instead of traditional bonds. If that happens, this percentage is going to be a lot more coming into Bitcoin. Anyway, it's still low. And I hear you through VR classes, cinema. Okay. Shoot, it's still low. Let me try to do something live on the audio to fix it, because why not use you as a sounding board? I jacked it up another 20%. Let me know if that's better. Thank you, Avocado, as well, for coming. Let's get into the Bitcoin pump as well, right on cue. And I must say, somebody gave me this chart. I cannot give credit to who it came from because I don't remember, or they didn't share. I just saw the chart. But this is another view of the day offset of 90 days, not 108 days. And you can see the yellow line is global empty money supply. And Bitcoin price is following it almost picture perfectly. How high will it go? We are not sure, but estimates are at least 120K, maybe 160K. We shall see, but good things are ahead. We might need to be a bit patient, wait out till June, July, but good news seems to have little effect. Hopefully that changes today. I'm going to try one other thing to increase the volume. So everybody says it's fine. Some people don't. I increased it a little bit more. Let me know if that's better. Now, more pump on the way. This is the story today, why I believe there is more pump on the way. Here, we shot from $75,000 to $97,000 after that actual video. When sometimes I make these videos to give people some comfort, because 20% of you out there had thrown in the towel. You said the bull market was over. You packed your bags and you went home. And that's why I made this video back in March that no, good things are coming. And I was very, very, sound good, good, great. Thank you all for letting me know that, because I work in a little black box here. Anyhow, this is why I make these. And look at the accumulation. It's spreading top down as well. This is another key point that I want you to be aware of. Watch the big money players. Watch what they do. Don't do your own thing. But the whales greater than 10,000 Bitcoin have been at peak accumulation for quite some time now, around 0.95. The 1,000 to 10,000 whales and the 100 to 1,000 Bitcoin cohorts are up about 0.9. They keep on snacking. I talked a lot about that 100 to 1,000 cohort. They are critical to watch. They are now the money players. They hold more Bitcoin than anybody else, any other cohort. And then you got the 10 to 100 Bitcoin holders who are pivoting towards 0.6. They're beginning to stack. And sadly, everybody with less than 10 Bitcoin has continued to distribute, okay? The small players are selling. Those with less than 10 Bitcoin have been selling and continue to give their Bitcoin to the big players. I'm here to tell you not to do that. When the big players start selling, then you can distribute, but not when they are buying, everybody. Very, very important. So I hope that message is heard loud and clear. And while you were scared, I also, every day, I'm on every day, everybody is scared poopless about the tariffs. And while you were scared, the market shot up. Okay? Again, buy when there is blood in the streets. That's why you have cash. Remember that. People continue to forget that. Rusted Woods, thank you as well for coming. Now, let's talk about the top and bottom indicator. This tells us when we are getting overheated or not for Bitcoin. People ask for a quick update. We are still yellow. We are still middle of the road. We need to, after this yellow phase, go dark yellow, then orange, and then red. Okay? We are right bang in the middle with a slight little yellow uptick right now again. We're beginning to get overheated, but this is where we are, everybody. This bull run is not over. That's why we have these tools which will guide us, okay? And they work. Also, speaking about more pump incoming, E-Trade, breaking news today from Bitcoin historian, online financial giant E-Trade to offer Bitcoin buying and selling to clients. They have over 7 million users. 7 million. Just imagine, even just 1% of them convert to buying Bitcoin. That's huge. This is on top of yesterday I reported SoFi bringing their 5 million users on board to crypto after being scared away by Gary Gensler and the previous administration to not do that. Then they're doing it again. Robinhood have been in there. They were the first ones to jump back on the train last year under the new regime. And the new regime is pro-crypto, and that's what we care about, everybody. So, 7 million users. But it's not just E-Trade. Schwab eventually will get their act together, I hope. And Fidelity, $6 trillion Fidelity, opens up their new Bitcoin crypto IRA just recently as well. They have customers with $6 trillion in assets with Fidelity. Now you can buy and trade Bitcoin in an IRA tax-free. And a lot of Americans will do this. Tax-free is good, especially with things that are asymmetric bets like Bitcoin and crypto. So again, more pump on the way. And this is kind of a little bit of bad news. And a shout out to Cal as well. But David Roche, he says the US dollar is likely to drop another 15-20%. And people say, oh, that sounds terrible. Yeah, well, we all know all fiat is going to zero. So you should know that. There should be no surprise here at all. Okay, now, this is Cal. David Roche, US dollar is likely to drop another 15-20%. Then what happens to Bitcoin denominated in USD? The answer is it goes up to 117,000 without anything else happening. Okay, fiat is going down. Hard assets are going up. That's just how it works. So there's a lot of talk about 120K Bitcoin. Again, if this guy David Roche is correct, this alone will get us there. Again, Dixie goes down, Bitcoin goes up, and that's the end of that story. So again, another positive sign. And rumor mill, remember, this is a rumor. I could not prove this, but it's flying around Twitter and other places. NVIDIA, the third largest company in the world, sometimes the first, apparently they want to add an undisclosed amount of Bitcoin to their balance sheet for stability. NVIDIA have oodles of cash. They have so much cash, they're investing willy-nilly in anything AI out there under the sun. But they should be careful with what they invest in because, 99% of assets go to zero. So be careful. But Bitcoin is one of those that is probably a pretty safe bet for them to deploy some of their cash. And this is interesting, this rumor. And the reason I share it is because, guess what? This guy, Michael Saylor, said big tech will embrace Bitcoin. He mentioned 4 big things. Banks will start lending against your Bitcoin. Coinbase, Ledin, and other players are already doing that, and the adoption is crazy. Coinbase have gone from $0 to $100 million in Bitcoin loans on USDC in less than 90 days. US government will hold Bitcoin. Yes, they will, and they are going to buy as much as they can, hopefully another 800,000 Bitcoin. And then big tech companies will embrace Bitcoin. You know that Jensen is looking at the US government. You know that Jensen is probably in touch with Michael Saylor. And you know, it couldn't hurt to have a little bit. Again, you got Tesla on board, and then you've got NVIDIA on board. The two most important companies probably in the world over the next 5 to 10 years. What will the rest of the companies do when this happens? Answers on a postcard below. Let me know. Let me know what you think, because I know. I think you know too. Also, Bitcoin short-term holder year-over-year realized price is at 58%. This actually should be in line with the top and bottom indicator, which uses some of this data. This is from Axel. Again, this short-term holder year-over-year realized price change is currently at 58%. And in previous cycles, it normally at the levels of 165% and 144% coincided with price peaks in the past. We are nowhere near that, everybody. And after that happens, after we get to those 165% to 144%, profit taking occurs from the hardcore folks. But a lot of the long-term holders that typically sell have sold most of their bags anyway during the last run. So we have a year-over-year rise to come, which could, believe it or not, if this is correct, that would take us to about 171,000 from the current price of 96,700. Okay, let's call that a 2x between us friends. And also, history does not necessarily repeat, but it rhymes. Check out my video from March where I talked about global liquidity. And I said there's an 80% chance we go up from here. And we kick off in earnest in May 2025. And that's exactly what's happening. So history is important to look at. Now, what other good stories do we have? Bitcoin is a tool used by the CIA. This is from Pomp. And I didn't dig too much into this story, but I do know the CIA does monitor perhaps Bitcoin movements to identify maybe some weird behavior. I don't know, but they keep an eye as well as what other countries are doing around the world with their Bitcoin. That's important in terms of security, especially as the US wants to start bagging more Bitcoin. So thinking to myself, maybe the Treasury, the US government is in touch with the CIA saying, hey, listen, we don't want this game theory stuff to kick off before we start buying a truckload of Bitcoin. So can you keep an eye on wallets across the world as to what they're doing, like I do all the time? Maybe that could be. So either way, we shall see. Oh my God, some people just want. There's people here saying this bull market's boring. This bull market's been the best bull market ever. And if you think this is boring, I can't help you. So I shouldn't sometimes read the comments, but I read everything because it's fun. Anyway, and Bitcoin over time kills them all. Very interesting little table here. Shout out to Sanjay as well. If you look at this table of performance for major asset classes, while April and so far the Q1 of this year was nasty, a lot of the initial large losses were offset by the end of the month. Things rebounded fast. As I say, if it falls fast, it rebounds fast. V-shaped recovery. The speed at which it falls is typically the speed at which it recovers. But of the losers, this is kind of crazy, oil has led the way at almost a 20% loss. So if you look at the last 5 years of performance, if you're holding oil, you lost 21%. If you're holding gold, okay, and this isn't even debasement adjusted. If you're holding gold since 2020, you're only up 24%. You take out debasement to 40%, you are deep in the hole, my friends. So the gold bugs are rejoicing. They had the best year ever, but still, the 5-year performance sucks. Bitcoin, 304%. Dow Jones, 7%. S&P, 16%. NASDAQ, 43%. Notice why we do disruption, by the way. NASDAQ, tech stocks versus S&P 500, etc. Euro stocks, down 4%. FTSE, UK stocks, down 14%. Shanghai, up 13.87%. Nikkei, 16%. Okay? So just bear that in mind. If you pull out, say, year to date, the first 90 days of the year, yeah, it's hard to get a good read. And yes, Bitcoin is now breaking even, which is good, better than most other things. But over time, Bitcoin kills them all. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Fun to see. And double cut incoming, my friends. Okay, this is June. Target rate from the CME futures for the Fed. They will cut at least twice before June. That's 50 basis points. And another 2 or 3 cuts before the end of the year. This means risk on. This is good for Bitcoin. This is good for risk assets. And it's going to be a good time ahead. So this could be a fun summer. And remember one thing as well. Do not sell in May and go away. Okay, summer's looking good. And final, meme of the day. It's Elon's fault. It's Elon's fault. Again, hopefully you all understand exactly what I'm getting at there. But the world is nuts. Absolutely nuts. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hit the like and subscribe. If you learned something new every day, you will learn a lot in every one of my videos. And we take a lot of time putting them together and all the information that you need to know to be very successful. Thank you, everybody. Thank you once again to the Mazda chat. Mobbots is here. Maxi Mike, Chaotic Coder, Irrational, all the usual gang. Dig Swimming Dave. And once again, thank you to Roderick and Bitcoin Broccoli, Sean Donnelly, T&D Tesla, K8, and everybody else. Polly, thank you all. Hang on, is that a question from Polly? Hope the sound is better. Rusted Woods, great show. Did I miss a question? You'll be at MicroStrategy earnings. I will chime in, but remember, MicroStrategy earnings, this is kind of interesting. What will he say today? Everybody's worried about everybody who watches this channel has a big bag of MicroStrategy, and you've done very well. So it's been the best performing asset over the last 5 years. Actually, it's kind of sad that this table didn't have that. Let me pop that back up. If you put MicroStrategy in this table, it smokes everything by a factor of 3 or more, which is bonkers. I actually, for giggles, I'm going to update this table and add MicroStrategy. Yes, that's fun. See the inspiration I get from listening to you all? Thank you all. So MicroStrategy earnings, there's a weird little thing that could happen, and that is tax impact of gains or losses on Bitcoin. They're beginning to turn on in this quarter new gains because of the big rise in Bitcoin price. But at the same time, there could be some weird tax adjustment. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is their accretion of sats per share. That is the whole game, everybody. Don't overthink it. It's always been the game, nothing else. They sell shares at, say, $2, okay? When it's only worth $1 of Bitcoin. But they double the money by buying Bitcoin that way. So it's real simple. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Have a good day. Yes, effing taxes, whatever that means. Yeah, taxes are very important in investing, and tax rules sometimes can be a little bit weird, but these corporations are also impacting them like you and I are. Thank you all. Have a good night.